I'm Lolo Roberts. I'm a practicing gratitude girl that strives every day and every way to recognize and celebrate my blessings. God is the center of my life, and His love allows me to live life to the fullest. Every day is a day of growth and self-improvement. I am blessed to have you join me on this podcast. Love, peace, and gratitude.
It is time for another episode of Grateful Gratitude with Lolo and Lexie. And in the last episode, we talked about Lexie's temporary bout. Can we call it temporary?
Yeah.
With anxiety and what she went through. I want to talk now about how you came out of it and the treatment and what others around you, how they helped you out.
Yeah, and I'll also say, like I said in the last podcast, that the pain is temporary, but it is something that, and I think a lot of people get frustrated with is, when you have a mental disorder or whatever, it is something that affects your life all throughout your life. It gets better and worse and better and worse. But through those challenges and getting through those challenges is how you actually learn how to deal with them in the future, and it gets easier and easier, and kind of that pain or whatever tapers away as you go through more instances of it. So I kind of look at it as in the future, if I go through another situation, I know it won't ever be as bad as it was previously, but if I ever go through something where I kind of feel like, anxiety's creeping up, I know that, I've gotten through this, and I know the signs, and I know how to handle it, and kind of take a grab at it, I don't know. Does that make sense?
To get control of it,
to get control of it.
It does. Now, the people around you, for example, I've never dealt with anxiety, and I think that
you're lucky.
I am very lucky, very fortunate. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But I also think it puts the people around you that have never dealt with it in a position where they're just helpless.
You're right.
Don't know what they can do to help, or if there really is anything they can do to help. So when you're going through that, if I was your husband or I was your father or mother, what's the best thing I could do when dealing with someone going through that type of anxiety?
Don't say, "Oh, it'll pass. It'll pass." That used to be the biggest thing that bothered me. It'd be like, "Okay, yeah, you think it'll pass, but no, this is something that literally affects every second of my day whenever it's bad." Even though that's just somebody just trying to be helpful, it's pretty much just being there. And if that's silently or just whatever, just being there, and say I was opening up about it to you or whatever, just be a listening ear. You don't have to say anything or anything like that. Just be there, and don't make me feel weird about it.
Well, I think talking to you and that maybe the best thing I could do is or anyone in the position that is dealing with someone who's going through it, is understand that you don't understand.
Yeah. Right.
Understand that whoever you're dealing with, whether it's your wife, your daughter, your a family member, if you've never dealt with anxiety, understand that you have no clue what that person is going through.
But it's so awesome, when you do want to help. So that's why I don't want to ever tell people, don't say this, don't say that, because you're just, at the end of the day, just trying to help. But yeah, just be cognizant that it doesn't make sense and it's not logical whenever you talk about certain things or what's going through your head or what you wake up feeling like and things like that. So just, even though some of it might be shocking or something like that, just don't be taken by it. Just be like, okay, let's handle this, or whatever, I'm here for you, sort of thing. Just kind of like a rock, I guess.
And I think the other thing that I was doing that I didn't realize I was doing, that Lexie had to point out to me, was I was showing so much worry that it was hindering her, because then she was beginning to worry about me. And when she said, don't look at me worried, or don't, because I need you, basically she was saying, I need you to be strong for me and know I'm going to be okay. And once she had kind of told me that, which I had no idea, I was able to put that to the side. But
yeah, that's the hardest thing, is you just, my biggest thing was I just wanted to hear that it's going to be okay, even if we don't know how, it will be okay. And I remember, telling doctors that and counselors that, being like, all I want to know is that it's going to be okay. And they would just shake their head and be like, and then keep writing or whatever. And I'm like, No. I literally want somebody to tell
Say
me.
it. Say
it's going to be okay, and that this happens to people, because I felt very isolated when I first was going through this.
Well, and I think, too, that, I mean, there was a lot of praying being done, and we were turning to God, and we were looking at things that we could be grateful for.
Okay, well, I want to go there with you also.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you both are women of faith, and you both are very grateful, obviously, with grateful gratitude. When you're going through something like that, how much guilt is there? Do you feel guilty because you have so much to be grateful for? And I know that you recognize that.
That was what was hard for me, was because I would be sitting in these group therapy sessions, and there would be like moms there that just got their kids taken away from them, and they're dealing with drug abuse, and I mean, it would freak me out because it would make me feel like, oh no, is this going to happen to me? So that wasn't very good for me, honestly. The group therapy wasn't what I needed at that moment, but also I'd sit there and hear, everyone's story about no support and no money, and they don't know how they're going to be able to afford their medication or whatever the deal is, and I'd sit there and be like, I don't have to work full time. My mom is supportive. My in-laws are supportive. My husband's supportive. I'm pregnant, and I've always wanted to be pregnant. I was like, and I constantly said that in counseling. I was like, man, I just have so much support. I felt so guilty because I was like, why can't I just, as they say, snap out of it? And that's what I really learned, because before, when I dealt with anxiety, I would just deal with it as like, my goal is to be a wife and a mom and all of this, and everything's just going to be perfect once that happens. And now it happened, and now I'm still dealing with this, and now it's even worse than it ever was before. And so it's just very like a reality check.
Well, you talk about the great position you're in and the great support that you had, but what would have happened, and I hate to even bring it up, but if you hadn't taken the step of recognizing that you have a problem and being willing to talk to someone about it, if you just kept it to yourself...
Oh, I wouldn't have been able to function. I would have been in the hospital. I mean, I don't know.
Could you have ended up like one of those other women that was in the support group?
Oh, well,
could have really...
different reasons. I wouldn't have gotten into drugs, and I wouldn't have... I don't know. I mean, I don't know really what would have happened, but I wouldn't have gotten into drugs. I know that. But I could see that I could have become an alcoholic easily, or...
Well, I guess what I'm saying is... that
I could see where they are. Yeah, it made me very, very, very not quick to judge, because in my previous job in Oklahoma, I worked as a pediatric dental assistant, and so we saw a lot of Medicaid patients, which there's nothing wrong with that, but we saw a lot of neglect and abused children, and just really hard things to see. And I remember I used to get so mad because I would see a mom walk in with 7 kids, and they'd have all their health care paid for, and, I was very like, they don't deserve that, da-da-da-da, or they need to stop having kids, and, all this. I'd be very, very, very quick to judge. And then as I'm sitting in this group therapy session, not saying that I was completely wrong about certain things, but I do...
You see the other side.
Right, and how if you had no support, or just like you said.
But okay, what I'm saying though is it took you to be brave enough to tell someone, to talk. If you had kept suffering in silence, you would not have been able to engage the support that you had. Right. And the first step was you being brave enough to say, hey, look, we got to do something here. Right.
I mean, I wouldn't have been able to work a job. I wouldn't have been able to, I couldn't drive at the time. Right. Like I couldn't function. So there was no choice but to open up about it. And, I felt like a basket case is how I felt at the time, because I just wanted to be, in my head, I just kept thinking, I just want to be normal. I just want to be normal. I want to be like this person. I want to be like that person. And once I realized, like, I am who I am, and everyone has their thing that they deal with, whether it's physically or mentally. I mean, it's everyone's got their stuff, and not to make anybody's problem smaller, but it's just, it made me feel better because I'm not alone. And then also, as I did more research, there were other people that were dealing with the exact same thing I was.
Well, and I'm not to cut you off, but at one point she did say, I'm not sure why I went through this, but I want to help others. And so it was almost like a purpose that was put in her life, that she had to suffer through this in order to help others.
Well, and that's great that you could recognize that also. I think most people don't recognize that, when you go through a problem and you come out of it, you come out stronger, first of all.
Absolutely.
And the whole question about why does God let bad things happen. Well, there's a reason for everything, and a lot of people think that's just a crock. The whole there's a reason for everything. No, but if you find that reason, you find that calling. It's great.
That's all I had to hold on to too. If I didn't have my faith, I wouldn't have anything. So that's what I just really held on to. Was I'm kind of stubborn in certain ways, but when it comes to where I just really don't know what's going on, I really do turn to God, and I don't get mad at God or anything for those sort of things, just because of other challenges I've been in the past, and to see how they end up working out. And as I got through this little spout or whatever, I'm at a much mentally clear place, and better than I have been in at least 6 years probably.
Well, and I think, you have gotten so much clarity out of it, and you have grown, become a stronger woman. And I think when you put gratitude in your life, even as bad as this was, saying, God, we know that we're going through this, but man, we still have this. And Lexie would say, and Mom, you're by my side. And her husband would be with her through the night. And, she looked at the good stuff. And so that's how we grew through that. And that's how we hope others do.
Okay, so what's going on with Great Gratitude?
We're growing. We still have our great Facebook page that we're getting more followers all the time. We've got monthly inspiration groups now. We have a women's workshop. We're just going.
And I certainly hope you're watching this on YouTube, because this may be one of the first videos that we post.
Hopefully.
As long as my head's not cut off right now, we'll be okay.
Poor Mark. Well, Levi did well, so hopefully.
All right. Well, I look forward to the next episode.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, thank you.